by the central government and by MOEF, that is Ministry of Environment and Forest. Under legislation part, so we all know that nowadays the problem of this battery waste is going to increase. It is already going to increase because the electronic part or electrical part what we are going to use is more and more in percentage. If you compare the percentage of battery utilizations as compared to the last decade, then you can observe there is a huge increase of utilization of these batteries, because nowadays we are using the mobiles, laptops, palm tops, and we are also using the four-wheelers, and the production rate as well as the selling rate of all these electrical and electronic components are more. So we may face a big issue of this battery, and that is why this battery handling or battery waste management rule come into exist, which will be implemented soon. So the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change notification, New Delhi, the 20th February 2020, with reference to this notification and with reference to the section 6, 8 and 25 of the Environment Protection Act 1986, and by the separation of the Batteries Management and Handling Rule 2000, the next rule will come into exist, that is Battery Waste Management Rule 2020. So the previous rule is Battery Management and Handling Rule 2001. Now it is going to suppress, and instead of that the substitute rule is the new one, that is from 2020. So this is the draft rule what we are going to discuss. The rule number 1 is short title, that is it is called as Battery Waste Management Rule 2020. The application of this rule is applicable to the manufacturer, producer, collection centers, importer, reconditioner, refurbisher, dismantler, assembler, dealer, recycler, auctioneer, vehicle service center, consumer and bulk consumer involved in manufacturer, processing, sale, purchase, collection, storage, reprocessing and use of batteries or components thereof, including their components, consumables and spare parts which make the product operational. So this rule is applicable to all who are going to handle, who are going to collect, who are going to sell, who are going to manufacture the battery and their components. So some of the terminologies or some of the words may not be aware of you, but I will discuss all the details, what exactly the auctioneer is, what exactly this refurbisher is, or what exactly the dismantler is, and what are their duties and functions. We will discuss later on. Now the sub rule 2.2 is all types of battery as listed in schedule 1, regardless of their shape, volume, weight, material composition or use. So this rule is applicable for all the types of battery which is mentioned in the schedule 1. So we will discuss the schedule 1 in the last. Then all appliances into which a battery is or may be incorporated. So whatever the appliances, that is electrical or electronic appliances we are going to use, and if that is battery operated, then it is applicable to that appliances also. These regulations do not apply to batteries used in the equipments connected with the protection of the essential security interest. So if the equipment or the instrument is mainly designed for the essential security interest, then it is not applicable to that instruments or the equipments, like arms, ammunitions and war material intended specifically for the military purposes. So these military equipments and instruments which are specially designed for the essential security interest are not applicable for this rule. Then equipment designed to be sent into space. So whatever the space components, space instruments or equipment which are battery operated, they are also exempted from this rule. The rule is not applicable for this space exploration area. Then emergency and alarm systems, emergency lighting, and medical equipments. So all these things are not applicable. That is, the battery waste management rule 2020 is not applicable to all these emergency systems. The import export of battery waste, hazardous waste generated in the establishment of user stated in rule 21 shall be handled as per the previous under hazardous waste management handling and transboundary movement rule 2008. So whatever the battery waste, if it is hazardous, then you have to handle this hazardous waste to that authority with reference to this hazardous waste rule 2008. Then rule number 3 is related to the definitions. So there are various definitions covered under this battery waste management rule 2020 because there are various terminologies which are involved, which maybe seems like a similar words or the meaning, but mainly when we are using this word in this battery waste management rule 2020, then they are having a specific meaning, right? So act means Environment Protection Act 1986. Assembler means the person who is going to assemble these battery components. Then auction means a sale of batteries or the components, that is nothing but the auction. Then auctioneer, who is going to sell these batteries or the battery components, is auctioneer. Then authorizations means the permission which is given by the central or state government for handling, collection, reception, storage, transportation, dismantling, recycling, treatment and disposal of these batteries, that is called as authorizations. Then battery or accumulator means any source of electrical energy generated by direct conversion of chemical energy. So we know that in the batteries there is a specific a particular chemical which is designed or incorporated in that battery for that particular use only. So there may be a alkaline battery, there may be a mercury, there may be a silver oxide, zinc, carbon, etc. So there are various chemicals which are used in this battery. So all these batteries, that is also called as accumulator, because the conversion of this chemical energy is into electrical energy. So the chemicals may be a lead acid, lithium ion, lithium metal, nickel cadmium, or some other chemicals like potassium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide, ammonium chloride, zinc chloride, sulfuric acid, or pressurized sulfur dioxide gas, or thionyl chloride, magnesium bromide, magnesium perchlorate, mercury or zinc or cadmium or nickel or lithium chloride. So from this battery definition you can understand the different chemicals, especially the heavy metals are involved in these batteries, and that is why most of the batteries are hazardous. So for that purpose, if it is a hazardous waste generated due to or after the use of this battery, then it should be handled with reference to the hazardous and other waste rule 2016. Right? Then battery pack, so it is nothing but the combination of more than one batteries, that is called as battery pack, that is a complete unit. Then bulk consumers, so if the consumer is going to purchase, handle, store a huge quantity of the batteries, then it is called as bulk consumers. So from this definition, if it is turnover of more than 1 crore or have more than 20 employees in that company, in the organization, and other agencies or companies who purchase 100 or more than 100 batteries per annum. So if you are going to purchase more than 100 batteries per annum, or if you are handling the batteries and its turnover is more than 1 crore, then it is called as bulk consumers. So some of the consumers may be government agencies. The main consumers from the central governments are railways, defense, telecom, post, telegraph departments, and some other banks, etc. Then Central Pollution Control Board. So we know that it is the central government body for controlling the pollution in the nation, that is in the India. So it is the body which is come into exist after the Water Act 1974. Then collection centers. So the center where we are going to collect all these battery components or waste or the bulk pack, etc. from the manufacturer, producer, importer, assemblers or the dealers. So that center is nothing but the collection center for that batteries. Then components means the part of that battery which is attached to the main batteries are called as components. Consumer means a person using that battery is called as consumer. Bulk consumers are separate and consumers are separate. Channelization means to direct the path for the movement of waste batteries after collection to registered dismantler or registered recycler, that is called as channels. Means there should be a particular path from where we have to collect these batteries, where to transfer this battery and to whom we have to hand over these batteries. So that is for the dismantling process or that is maybe for the recycling process. So that path is called as channelization. Then dealer, so the person or the group or the firm who is going to buy or sell the batteries or their components from the producer, manufacturer or importer or assemblers or retailers, consumers, etc. That is called as dealer. So he is going to deal about these batteries and their component is called as dealer. Dismantler means the person who is authorized by the central government and by the CPCB guidelines and who are authorized to dismantle this battery and their components is called as dismantler. So separating of these components from these batteries are called as dismantling process, and the person or organization who is going to do this process is called as dismantler. Then disposal. So if the battery is not going for the recycling process, if it is not a recoverable battery, if it is not a reusable battery, then we have to go for the disposal. So the disposal technique may be a physico-chemical process, that may be a biological treatment, that may be a incineration and deposition in secured landfills. So there are various techniques. In India, we are mostly used the landfilling process and sometimes we are going to use the incineration process, but it is a controlled incineration because we have to avoid the hazardous gases, the toxic gases into the atmosphere. Then environmentally sound management of battery waste. So how to handle this battery waste without adversely impacting on the environment, that is called as environmentally sound management of battery waste. Then the next terminology is EPR, that is extended producer responsibility. So the responsibility of any producer of batteries for their products beyond manufacturing. So that is why it is called as extended. So the manufacturing responsibility is there obviously, but we have to give the responsibility to that manufacturer until the environmentally sound management system is there for that product, and that is why it is called as extended producer responsibility. So the production as well as there will be no adverse impact on the environment. For that purpose they have to manage all these battery, their components and their uh, channelization for these waste batteries, that may be sent for the recycling, that may be for the recovery, that may be for the reusable purpose, or if it is not the case, then that should be sent to the landfilling, incineration or some other treatments. So that is the responsibility of that producer, and that is why it is called as extended producer responsibility. So they have to take back the batteries, and that is called as take back systems. That is also the responsibility of this EPR. So the producer is going to get or collect these batteries again after utilization or after expiry of this battery, and they are going to set up the collection centers or the some systems where these batteries can be collected. So depending on the conditions, depending on the nature of battery, that may be sent to the recycling, recovery, reusing process, or that may be sent to the disposal. So all these responsibilities are the producer's responsibility, and it is called as extended producer responsibility. Then extended producer responsibility authorization. So all these authorities for finding out the next process, finding out the disposal techniques, find out the collection centers, how to collect all these things, how to take back system should be implemented or designed. Everything is permitted by the Central Pollution Control Board or State Pollution Control Board to a producer. That is called as EPR authorizations. Then EPR management. So whatever we have discussed about all these things, that should be channelized in a proper way. That is called as EPR management. Then EPR plan. So whatever we have discussed about the take back systems, collection centers, that may be the battery recycling process or recovery process or reusable process or disposal process, all these things should be planned by that producer, which is the extended responsibility of that producer. It is called as EPR plan. Then facility. So the facility for all these things may be a collection, maybe reception, storage, segregation, refurbishing, dismantling, recycling, treatment, and disposal of waste battery are carried out form means appended to these rules. So we have to fill the form for by getting all these facility, that may be in the same premises or at the other places. So if you want to collect all these batteries at a different points or a single point, then you have to apply to MPCB or CPCB for getting this authority for collecting these batteries, and likewise for other facilities also. So refurbishing means we can repair these batteries like a new battery, that is called as refurbishing, and that person is called as refurbisher. In the same way, if the battery is not usable, not reusable, not recoverable, then we can dismantle that batteries, and if some components can be reusable, these components can be utilized for other batteries. So separating or segregation of this battery and their components is called as dismantling process. Then importer. So the person who is going to import these new batteries or their components is called as importer. Then industrial battery, the battery which is exclusively used for the industrial purpose only, then it is called as industrial battery. That may be used for the electrical vehicle or for some other power sources. Unsealed, but it is not an automotive battery, or sealed, but it is not a portable battery. That is the condition for this industrial battery. Then manufacturer. So the person or the organization who is going to manufacture these batteries is called as manufacturer with reference to this Companies Act 2030 and Factory Act 1948. Then OEM, that is original equipment manufacturer. So the manufacturer of the equipment or product using these batteries as a component. So if some manufacturer is going to use these batteries as a component, then it is called as original equipment manufacturer. Then portable batteries. So the batteries which can be carried out by the hand or manually, which can transfer from one point to another point and can be utilized for that purpose, then it is called as portable batteries. Then producer means the person who is going to sell these techniques of manufacturing, or who are going to sell these batteries or their components to the consumers directly or indirectly, then it is called as producer. Then PRO. So we have discussed about the producer. Now it is producer responsibility organizations. So the person who is going to sell or going to manufacture all these things is called as producer. It is PRO means a professional organization authorized or financially, collectively or individually by a producer, which can take the responsibility for collection and channelization of battery waste generated from the end of life of their products to ensure environmentally sound management of battery waste. So in the similar way of EPR, it is the responsibility of that producer, of that organization, to take care about this battery up to the end of life. So we have to take care about, there should not be any process, any step which involve the adverse impact on the environment. That is the PRO. Then reconditioner means a person who is going to involved in the repairing of these batteries for selling the same in the market. So after repairing, you can sell these batteries again. That is called as reconditioner. Then recycler. So the person who is engaged in recycling process, that is called as recycler. So all the guidelines for this recycling process, how to get the authority of this recycler, who is the authorized recyclers, all these things are given under the CPCB guidelines. Then registered recycler. So we have already discussed, like the authority of this recycling process is given by these MOEF or CPCB or MPCB agencies, because all the rules and regulations or the guidelines is designed by the central government, and if the recycler is applied for the recycling process, that is called as registered recycler. And if it is sanctioned by the MOEF, that is Ministry of Environment and Forest, then that recycler can be called as registered recycler, who is having the authority to recycling the recyclable battery waste. Then refurbishment. So we have already discussed that we can extend the life of that battery by repairing by some other means, that is called as refurbishment. And the person who is going to carry out these activity, it is refurbishment, is called as refurbisher. Then schedule means the schedule appended to these rules. State government in relation to a union territory. So that respective government. So for this Maharashtra state government, and the state pollution control board is Maharashtra Pollution Control Board, that is MPCB. Likewise for other state also. Then used batteries means the batteries which can be exhausted after utilization, after uses, or can be damaged due to accident, due to some other means, or old batteries, that is expiry is there, or the components of that batteries are exhausted, damaged, or the expired. So if that is the case, the component or the battery is exhausted, damaged, or expired, then it is called as used batteries. This battery waste, so means a battery and its components thereof whole or in part discarded as waste by consumer or bulk consumer, as well as rejects from the manufacturing, refurbishment and repair processes. So if the consumer or bulk consumer says that it is exhausted, damage or something else, it is a waste battery, or in some of the process like manufacturing, while manufacturing also some defective batteries are there, or while in the processing of the refurbishment or in the repairing processes, the battery can be damaged or something is happen, then the battery is called as battery waste. Then in the chapter 2, rule number 4, it is related to the prohibitions and labeling requirements. So we know the batteries are using and for purpose or the on the principle that chemical energy is going to convert into electrical energy. So which type of chemical, what exactly the percentage of that chemical, that should be known to the consumer or the bulk consumer. And that is why this provision is there in the rule number 4. So the heavy metal contents on the batteries should be labeled like this. That is a battery that contains more than 0.005% or 5 ppm of mercury by weight, or it is like 0.002% of cadmium by weight. The provision in paragraph 1(a) shall not apply to a button cell with mercury content of not more than 2% by weight. So if it is the button cell and if it is having less than 2% mercury, then it is not possible to label these button cells. The provision in paragraph 1(b) shall not apply to portable batteries. So these cadmium batteries is not applicable. This labeling of these cadmium batteries are not applicable to the portable batteries. That is can be used for the emergency alarm systems, emergency lighting, or medical equipment or some other emergency systems. So where the button cells are used, then this mercury label is not applicable, and where the portable batteries are used of this cadmium for emergency uses, then this label is not applicable. Then a cordless power tool marked with the cross out wheel bin symbol. So I will show you this symbol in the last slide. No person shall place on the market any battery or battery pack unless it is marked with the cross out wheel bin symbol as shown in the schedule 2, covering at least 5% of that area of the largest side of the battery or battery pack. So whatever the area available on that battery, 5% of that area should be used for this symbol. That symbol is called as cross out wheel bin symbol, and it is shown in the schedule 2. In the case of cylindrical cells, that area is 2%, where the size of the battery or battery pack is such that the cross out wheel bin symbol would be smaller than 0.5 to 0.5 centimeters. Sometimes, depending on the surface area available on that battery, the symbol may be of 0.5 to 0.5 centimeter, and in some cases it is 1 by 1 centimeter. But whatever the symbol used on that area should be visible, legible, and indelible. Then marking with mercury, cadmium, and lead symbols. So the batteries which are used with these chemicals should be symbolized by this chemical formula or chemical symbol, that is Hg for the mercury, cadmium represented by Cd, and lead is also called as palladium, that is why it is symbol is Pb. Then each of the chemical symbols mentioned in paragraph 1 shall be printed beneath the cross out wheel bin symbol. So we have already discussed about this cross out wheel symbol, that may be by 0.5 to 0.5 centimeter or 1 by 1 centimeter, and beneath that symbol this chemical symbol should be printed. So that is Hg or Cd or Pb. Then rule number 5 under chapter 3 is related to the responsibilities. So we have discussed about some of the definitions, some of the terminologies, some of the chemicals which are used in the batteries, how to label all these things, how to symbolize all these chemicals, etc. Now, what are the responsibilities? That may be a common responsibility, that may be a specific responsibility of that person or organizations. So who are involved for these responsibilities? Manufacturer, importer, assembler, and reconditioners. So it shall be the responsibility of manufacturer, importer, assembler, and reconditioners are ensure that used batteries are collected back as per the schedule. So it is the responsibilities of all of the above that all the batteries should be taken back by the producer or manufacturer or importer or assembler or reconditioners, right? So we have to take care whatever the manufacturing of these batteries are, the number of manufacturing batteries that should be equal to the collected back. So that is the ideal case. So we will discuss what exactly the government's target is in the next 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, etc. And then we can understand the practical targets of this collection of these batteries. Ensure that used batteries collected back are of similar type and specification as that of new batteries sold. So whatever the exchange, what we are talking about as a consumer, so that exchange should be similar type and specification type of batteries. Then file annual return of their sales and buyback to the state board in form 1 latest by 31st December of every year. So all these manufacturer, importer, assembler, and reconditioner responsibility to file the annual return in the form 1 to the respective state board before 31st December. Then rule number 5 under this collection centers. So we have already discussed about this collection center. We have already discussed about these registered recyclers and then safe transportations. So it is the responsibility of all of the above that all the batteries or their battery waste or their component should be safely transported to a particular center. That may be a collection center, and if it is recycling batteries, then we have to send it to the recycler in a safe level. Then that may be a dismantler, that may be a refurbisher, or that may be a disposal site. So whatever may be the process, but we have to transport all these batteries, their components as a waste in a safety way. Ensure that no damage to the environment occurs. So we have already discussed that there should not be any adverse impact on the environment while handling, manufacturing, processing, transporting, or disposal, or all other processes like refurbishments, recycling, recovering, reusing, etc. Then create a public awareness. So whatever the rules and regulation drafted by the central government, that should be known to the public, and for that purpose we have to aware the public through the advertisement, through the publications, through the posters, or by other means with regard to the following. So hazards of lead, cadmium, and mercury. Now in the most of the batteries we are using these components that is called as heavy metals, and these heavy metals are hazardous in nature. So these are the metals which can be adversely impact on your health, on the environment, and that is why these hazards should be known to everyone. Then obligation of consumers to return their used batteries only to the dealers or deliver at collection centers. So some of the consumers wants to return these batteries, but they are not knowing who are the authorized dealers, who are the authorized companies who are dealing about these take back systems, or where are the collection centers which are the authorized by the MPCB or CPCB. After knowing this, these consumers or the bulk consumer can return these batteries to the respective authorized dealers or the collection centers. So that awareness is important. Then address of the dealers and collection centers we have already discussed. Information on hazards of improper handling, disposal, accidental breakage, damage, or improper recycling of these batteries should be known to the public also, because all these information how to handle these batteries after waste, after expiry, after damage, etc., how to dispose of these batteries in case of accident breakage, what should be done. So all these things should be known to everyone. So that can be guided by the MPCB, CPCB or other authorized persons to the public. Then instruction for handling and disposal of this equipment after its use along with the do's and don'ts. So we should display the do's and don'ts about this battery waste to various places, at the various places, or in some of the digital media, so that the public can understand what should do and what should don't. So all these do's and don'ts should be displayed or communicated with various different medias to the public. Then use the international recycling sign on these batteries, but recycle lead or other elements only from the registered recyclers. Bring to the notice of the state board or the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change any violation by the dealers. So if the dealer is going to violate any norms, guidelines or the rules which is given by the CPCB or MPCB or the central government or MOEFCC, then you can directly communicate to this authority by writing a mail, by calling to them or the authorized persons. Ensure that the new battery shall be sold only to the dealers, bulk consumers and OEMs registered with the CPCB or any agency designated by it. In addition to the above responsibilities, the specific responsibility. So now we have discussed about the common responsibilities of the manufacturer, reconditioner, producer, etc. Now we are discussing about the specific responsibility, right? Now the specific responsibility of the manufacturer. So it should be the responsibility of the manufacturer to collect hazardous waste generated during the manufacture of any battery and channelize it for the recycling or disposal. So it is the responsibility of the manufacturing when in the manufacturing process, if the waste is generated, if it is the hazardous waste, then that should be carried out by the CPCB or MPCB guidelines, and that should be handled with safety measures taken with reference to this hazardous waste rule, so that we can easily transfer this hazardous waste to the authorized recycler, or if it is not recyclable products or the hazardous waste, then it should be transferred to the disposal site. Then apply for an authorization in form 2A in accordance with the procedure prescribed under rule 8.3 from the concerned SPCB, which shall be given authorization in accordance with form 2B. So for the manufacturing authority, we have to apply in the form 2A, and then State Pollution Control Board is giving the authority to the manufacturer in form 2B. Maintain records of this battery waste generated, handled and disposed in form 6. So whatever the battery waste is generated while manufacturing these battery or the components, that all things should be recorded, how much batteries or how many batteries are generated, and then how many batteries are going to handle, how many batteries are going to disposed. So for annum, all these records should be kept in the form 6, and that should be submitted to the State Pollution Control Board. Then manufacturer should file the returns, what we have already discussed, in the form number 1 to the concerned State Pollution Control Board before the 30th June of the following the financial year to which the returns relates. Then the specific responsibilities of the producer. So we have discussed about the manufacturer, now it is a producer. So implement the extended producer responsibility. So we have discussed about this EPR. So we producer should implement this EPR, that is extended producer responsibility, with the following framework. That is, individual producers shall seek EPR authorization from the CPCB. So for implementing this EPR, that producer should seek this EPR authorization from CPCB or SPCB by filling the form 3A. Then collection and channelization of the waste batteries at the end of the life of these batteries, or end of the life of the equipment containing battery, in line with the targets prescribed in Schedule 3 in EPR authorizations. Then the mechanism used for the channelizations. So it is similar responsibility like a manufacturer. So we have to take care about for handling of this battery waste, that should be transferred to the registered recycler. If it is not recyclable, then we have to transfer it to the disposal site. Then extended responsibility authorization should be comprised of general scheme for collection of waste batteries, electronic equipments containing batteries placed on the market earlier, such as through dealer collection centers, producer responsibility organization, that is PRO, through buyback arrangement, exchange scheme, etc., whether directly or through any authorization agency, and channelizing the items so collected to authorized recyclers. So this is the responsibility of the producer, that they have to take care about these batteries or the waste batteries from various sources. Then providing contact details such as address, email address, toll-free telephone numbers or helpline numbers to consumers or the bulk consumers. Because when these consumer or bulk consumers are knowing about these contact details, then they can contact directly for providing the battery waste or waste batteries to the authorized persons only. Creating awareness. So it is also the responsibility of this producer to create the awareness through media, publication, advertisement, posters. And nowadays we are using the WhatsApp, Facebook, multimedia transaction. These are the different medias which can be useful for creating the awareness about this battery waste, their handling processes, then collection centers, or authorized recycler, authorized or registered recycler, etc. Then information on hazardous constitution of these batteries. So producer should create the awareness about these hazards present in that batteries. So that may be a mercury battery, that may be a cadmium battery, that may be a lead battery. So what exactly the hazards of that particular component, that is heavy metals, to the public, to the environment, etc. So all this information should be given by the producer. Information on hazards of improper handling, disposal, accidental breakage, damage, or improper recycling of these batteries. So this is the common responsibility. Then instruction for handling and disposal of this equipment, and we have to display, show, inform, communicate these do's and don'ts of this batteries handling. Then there should be a visible, legible, and indelible symbol. So we have already talked about this, that particular cross bin symbol, garbage bin symbols, or some other symbols like chemical symbols, that is HECD or PB, should be printed on the products. That is the responsibility of the producer. Then there should be some mechanism for their consumers to return their waste batteries for the recycling purpose, and EPR should be effectively implemented. So all these EPR, their responsibilities, everything is can be applied to the CPCB with Form 3B. Then to provide the information on collection of end of life products, and their channelization, dismantling, etc. is the responsibility of this producer under this EPR plan. Then provide that the producer shall refund these deposit amount that has been taken from the consumer or bulk consumer at the time of sale, along with the interest at the prevalent rate for the period of that deposit at the time of take back of the end of life products. So if the life of that particular product is end, then at the end of life, that deposit amount should be refunded with the interest. Now the next responsibility of the dealer. We have discussed about the manufacturer and producer. Now it is a dealer. So the responsibility of the dealer is every dealer shall collect the battery waste by providing the consumer a box, bin or demarcated area to battery waste or through take back systems on behalf of the producer. So dealer can take the help of this producer for collecting this battery waste. Then ensure that the number of used lead batteries, other batteries, replace 100% new lead acid batteries. We have already discussed about these things, that similar type of batteries with their technical specification should be collected back, and then the same batteries or similar batteries should be sold. And all these procedures like proper GST invoice should be prepared by these dealers. Then raise an invoice in respect of every used batteries received from the consumers or the bulk consumers under this section 31(3)(f) and pay tax of the subsection 3 and 4 and section 9 of this CGST Act 2000 CST. So this GST invoice should be prepared with reference to this CGST Act 2017. Then ensure that used batteries collected back are of similar type and specifications as that of the new batteries sold, and every dealer shall make an application in Form 2C to the concerned State Pollution Control Board or Pollution Control Board committees for grant of one-time registrations. Then the registered dealer shall submit the details of the battery waste to the respective State Pollution Control Board and maintain the records of all these battery waste, that is the quantity, number, the type of battery, the chemical symbol or the chemical used in that battery, etc. in the Form 6. Then all these returns, that is file the annual return of this sale of these new batteries and buyback of old batteries to the manufacturer as well as to the SPCB in Form 1 by 31st May and 30th November of every year. Ensure safe transportation of these batteries. Then shall ensure no damage to the environment. Then registration with State Pollution Control Board for 5 years and the provision cancellation of for failure in collection and required number of batteries is the authority of this State Pollution Control Board. So dealer can have the 5 years registration process, but in case of you are violating any type of norms or guidelines which is given by SPCB, then that registration may be cancelled. Then an appeal can be generated if you are not accepting all these reasons or the causes given by the SPCB for suspension or the cancellation of this registration. Then the next responsibility is of recycler. So for authorized recycler or registered recycler, we have to apply to the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change or an agency designated by it, if not applied already, by submitting the Form 2C. So for getting the registration for having the registered recycler designation, we have to apply in form 2C to the MOEFCC or its representative. Then we have to submit the annual return as per the form 1 to the SPCB or their committees before 30th June and 31st December. Then all the records should be kept related to those batteries, their sources, quantities, and which metals are used, etc. And that can be shown to the SPCB or their committees for the inspection. Then we have to mark the recycled on metal recoverable by reprocessing. So whatever the metal, that battery is recovered or recycled by this recycler, so that symbol or marking should be there, that is called as recycled. Then the recycler should create a public awareness about this recycling process, their hazards, how exactly the recyclable batteries are, which type of batteries are recyclable, and how to recycle, and then what is the life of these recycled batteries again. So recycler should ensure about these terms and conditions which is given by the CPCB for reprocessing these batteries, and all the guidelines should be followed by this recycler. Central recycling facilities to be developed with capacity greater than 10,000 tons per year so as to make adequate pollution control which is cost effective. So this is the idea, like the central effluent treatment plant, because in each and every industry normally effluent treatment plants are there, but when we have to deal the large quantity, then we can go for the central effluent treatment plant, which is the case in some of the areas, in some of the states and in some of the districts only. It is not applicable for all the districts. So it is same, that is central recycling facilities, so which can be developed when the 10,000 tons per year battery waste can be recyclable, then we can apply for this facility to the Central Pollution Control Board. Then the next responsibility is of consumer or bulk consumer. So consumers are required to ensure that used batteries are not disposed of in any manner other than the depositing within the seller or in demarcated areas from whom the consumer has bought the new battery. So the awareness about these batteries, awareness about these hazards of these batteries, awareness about these recycling battery, recoverable battery, reusable batteries or their components, or how to dispose of these batteries, or how to hand over these waste batteries to the respective person or authorized person, that is the responsibility of the consumer. So these knowledge should be gathered by the consumer. Then consumer shall take proper GST invoice in respect of new battery purchase from the dealer. Additionally, consumer shall receive an invoice from the dealer in respect of every used batteries sold under the section 31(3)(f) along the payment voucher, and under section 31(3)(g) for tax paid under the subsection 3 or 4 with reference to the CGST Act 2017. So it is the responsibility of consumer to ask for the GST invoice. The bulk consumer shall get the registered SPCB. It shall be the responsibility of the bulk consumer that scrap batteries are not disposed of in any manner. So that bulk consumer should also take care about these facilities, how to dispose of, who is the recycler, who is the authorized recycler, registered recycler, who is the authority who are going to dispose of these batteries, etc. So for that authority only they have to send this battery waste. Then they have to file the annual return in form 1 to the SPCB. They are also asked about this GST invoice, and they may go to the contract or auction for the used batteries if the quantity is more. So this is the responsibilities of the consumer and bulk consumers. Then the next one is auctioneer. So the person or the organization who is going to conduct the auctions of these battery or their components, that is called as auctioneer. So the auctioneer shall be registered with SPCB. They have to ensure that used batteries are auctioned to the registered recyclers only. File the annual return to the SPCB in Form 1, and they have to maintain a record of such auctions, and these records should be available to the State Pollution Control Board for the inspection. Then the importer. So the person or the organization who is going to import these new batteries is called as importer. So for this purpose, we have to apply to the Central Pollution Control Board in a Form 2C. So the CPCB is providing the guidelines, and with reference to these guidelines, we have to fill this form. We have to generate the facilities for this importing. Then we can appeal if there is a suspension or refusal of this registration of the importer. If it is the case by the member secretary of the CPCB, then we can go for the appeal also. So we have to write the appeal and their details why we are appealing for within the 30 days of the order. Then the next responsibility is of SPCB or Pollution Control Committee. So the state board is prescribed authority for ensuring the compliance of these provisions of these rules, and it shall file annual compliance status report to the CPCB. So whatever the information data collected by the State Pollution Control Board, that should be sent to the Central Pollution Control Board. That is the main responsibility of this SPCB or Pollution Control Committee before 30th April every year. So SPCB or this committee shall register the dealer on one-time basis, and registrant would be deemed as considered if not objected to within a period of 30 days. So within 30 days, if there is no objection, then they can pass the order of that registered dealer. Then periodic monitoring of all these recycling facilities should be inspected by these SPCB or PCC members. Periodic audit of the data of new batteries purchased and old batteries sold from GST portal in case of bulk consumers. Then the responsibilities of CPCB. So CPCB is the apex body, or it is the body from the central government, and that is why they have to guide the State Pollution Control Board or Pollution Board committees or the bulk consumers or the other persons like importer, auctioneer, etc., directly or indirectly, or through the SPCB guidelines or through the notifications. And compile and publish the data received every year from the State Pollution Control Board, because it is the duty of State Pollution Control Board to send the data to CPCB. Now it is the duty of CPCB to publish this data which is received from the SPCB, because SPCB is collecting the data for that respective state only, and CPCB is collecting the data for the nation. Then review the compliance of these rules periodically to improve the collection and recycling of used batteries, and appraise of Ministry of Environment and Forest Climate Change. Then prepare the guidelines, SOPs for battery recycling facilities, standardization of technologies for all types of battery recycling, technology transfers, standards for battery waste recycling and waste disposal out of recycling facilities, establishment of R&D cell for battery recycling, authorization of producers, etc. under EPR. So these are the different responsibilities or duties of this CPCB. Then collection centers. So we have already discussed about the collection center, that the manufacturer or producer or dealer or the agent or the other representatives from these authorized persons that may have the collection center at the various places, or they may have a central collection center. So this collection center is for collecting these battery waste in different formats, and all the record should be kept with that collection center. Then they have to take the permission from the CPCB or SPCB to carry out the activities under this collection center. The record should be maintained that how many batteries, the nature of the batteries, and from where it is going to collect. So if it is going to collect from the manufacturer, or if it is going to collect from the dealer, or it is from the consumer or the bulk consumer, etc. So all these records should be kept by the collection centers. And then after collecting all these things, they are going to inspect the battery waste. If it is recyclable one, then they can send these recyclable battery waste to the registered or authorized recyclers. So if the some of the battery waste can be recoverable, reusable, then they are going to separate out these things. And if it is not recoverable, reusable, or recyclable, then that battery waste should be sent to the disposal authorities. Then the next responsibility is of dismantler. So with the permission of the SPCB or the PCC, they are going to conduct the dismantling process. So that person or the organization who are having this registration of this dismantling, they are going to conduct all these dismantling processes. So there may be a storage, there may be a transportation, there may be a dismantling, or the different processes or steps involved in this dismantling. So the dismantler should ensure that this process do not have any adverse impact on the health of the persons which are involved in the dismantling process or on the environment also. They also ensure that dismantling battery waste are segregated and sent to the registered recycling facility for recovery of the materials. They are also ensure that non-recyclable, non-recoverable components are sent to the authorized treatment, storage, and disposal facilities. They have to keep all the records of this battery waste collected, dismantled, and sent to the authorized recycle. They have to file the annual return in Form 1 to the SPCB before 30th June of every year. Then the responsibility of the customs clearance. So valid registration with the RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India, should be there by the custom. One-time registration with the CPCB or an agency designated by it in Form 2C, and undertaking in Form 2D, and a copy of the latest annual return in Form 1 should be available with this customs. So that is the customs clearance responsibility. Now these are the responsibilities of various persons or the organizations what we have discussed. Now it is the rule number 7, which is related to the computerization of records and returns. So whatever the record keeping what we have discussed is nowadays handled with the computers, and that is why it is a simple process to keep the records of all these collection of the batteries, sale of batteries, distribution of batteries, then auction of the batteries, then transportation, reprocessing, dismantling, used batteries, then which batteries are or how many batteries are sent to the registered recyclers or to the domestic producer or importers. All the data can be validated by using the information from GSTN portal. If it is computerized systems, if the records is kept in the computers, then it can be easily accessed by this information. If it is GST invoice, then the GSTN portal can get all these data, and on these data we can calculate all these numbers of batteries, how much quantity or how many batteries can be recycled, reprocessed, reused or disposed of. Then under chapter 4, rule number 8 is related to the procedure for seeking authorization and registration for handling battery waste. So we already discussed that the recycler should be a registered recycler, that is authorized recyclers, and for that purpose that the person or the organization have to apply for this authorized or registered recyclation process in the form 2C with required documents to the member secretary of the CPCB. So a copy of the valid consents under Water Act as amended and Air Act as amended, then a copy of the valid authorization under Hazardous Waste Handling Rule 2016, then a copy of valid certificate of registration with district authorities, then a copy of the proof of installed capacity issued by the SPCB or district industrial centers. So all the facilities which can be generated by these authorized recyclers, whatever the information, whatever the data is filled in that form 2C, which are going to submit to the member secretary. So that form with all the documents should be submitted to all these authorities. So all the guidelines should be complied, which is given under the Water Act, Air Act, then Hazardous Waste Rule 2016, and all the information should be given to the District Industrial Center, then to the State Pollution Control Board. The member secretary then verify all the documents which is submitted by that person who is interested to have the authorized recycler responsibility. Then if it is valid, then the member secretary of the CPCB is going to sanction that application of the registration within 90 days after the receipt of the application. If it is sanctioned by the member secretary, then the registration may be for a period of 3 years, right? So in some of the cases, if it is not the valid documents, if it is documents are showing different things and the actual things are different, then the objection can be raised by the member secretary, and if they are thinking that this application should not be sanctioned, then they can reject or suspend the registration of these applications. So that is the responsibility of the CPCB to verify all these documents, to verify all these facilities which can be provided by the recycler. So these are the different authorities of this member secretary of the CPCB. Then if the recycler is found that the suspension or cancellation of this registration is not valid, then he can go for the appeal within the 30 days of the order. Then there is sub rule, that is EPR authorization of the producers. So we have already discussed about this, what exactly the EPR is, who is the EPR authorized person, and this is the rule where they have mentioned about the form 3 which can be submitted to the State Pollution Control Board for getting the EPR authorizations. So the similar process can be carried out for EPR authorizations, so that form can be submitted to the CPCB or SPCB, and they are going to verify all these documents which are submitted to these authorities, and they can sanction these EPR authorization within the 60 days after the submission. They can also reject the EPR authorization application if they found incorrect or not authentic documents. Then in a similar way, the authorization of manufacturer, importer, assembler and reconditioners. So whatever the guidelines provided by the CPCB, MPCB, PCC or MOEFCC. So all these guidelines should be followed by these persons or the organizations who are going to have these authorities like manufacturing, importing, assembling or reconditionings. So all the forms with required document should be submitted to that authorities. And the process is similar, only the form numbers are different, the documents requirement is different and the authorities may be different for different cases. But similarly, the authorities can sanction their forms, they can reject or refuse, suspend or cancel their registration, and in a similar way, in all the cases, you can go for the appeal if you are not thinking that it is not the valid suspension or cancellation. Now, up till now, we have discussed about the different rules and sub rules of this battery waste management rule 2020. Now, this is the schedule 1 where they are showing about the classification of batteries. So, this is the primary cells and this is the secondary cells. So, primary cells are non-rechargeable batteries and secondary cells are rechargeable batteries. So these are the different examples they have shown in the schedule 1. So we have discussed these things in the rule number 4, and in that rule number 4 itself they have mentioned that you can refer this schedule 1 for the classification of batteries or which type of chemicals are used in these batteries. So from these chemicals you can understand whether it is non-rechargeable or rechargeable or it is primary or secondary. Then table 2 in the schedule 1 representing the classification of these batteries in purview of regulation and mandates. So these types are it is similar which is shown in the previous table, primary and secondary. It is also called as 1 degree and 2 degree, and the disposable batteries, that is non-rechargeable batteries, alkaline batteries, and in that again the sub classification is mercury, silver oxide and zinc carbon batteries. So it is deep discharge batteries, it is expensive better runtime batteries, and it is dry cell batteries. And in the rechargeable or 2 degree or secondary batteries, it is lead acid batteries, and under the sub classification it is lithium ion batteries and it is nickel cadmium batteries, and the examples are shown in that classification itself. Then it is a high energy density batteries or heavy weight lab batteries. So examples are again given that the application is main remote control, clocks, radios, digital cameras, handheld games, MP3 players. That is called as high energy density batteries. And heavyweight lab batteries, that is for starting purpose, for lightning purpose, for ignition system purpose, automobiles, backup power supply, etc. And this is the symbol what we are talking in the rule number 4, that will bin with cross symbols and with chemical symbols like CD, that is for cadmium, Hg for mercury, and Pb is for palladium or lead. So this symbol should be printed on the battery surface. So that may be a 0.5 centimeter symbol or 1 by 1 centimeter symbol, and beneath this cross will be in symbol, these chemical symbol should be there. So this is indicated in the schedule 2. Then in the schedule 3, it is related to the targets for EPR authorizations. So what we have discussed in the targets, how to collect these batteries, that is battery waste. So what exactly the target of the government is? So during the first 2 years of the implementation of the rules, 30% of the quantity of waste generation is indicated in EPR plan. So this battery waste collection target is, that may be in terms of number or weight, but the 30% of the quantity should be collected during the first 2 years. During the third and fourth years, 40%. During the fifth and sixth year, 50%, and seventh year onward, minimum 70% of the quantity waste generation is indicated in this EPR plan. So this is the step-by-step collection increment in the battery waste, 30, 40, 50 and 70%. So it is shown in the schedule 3. Then for the targets for lead acid batteries, during first 2 years of the implementations of this rule, 90% of the quantity, and during the third and fourth years of the implementation, 100% of the quantity. So if it is the lead acid batteries, then that should be collected at least 90% within first 2 years. Then there is a form 1, which is annual return form. Forms are under review and drafting. So these are the different things, that is the different schedules, form and different rules related to the battery waste management rule 2020, that is draft rule. Thank you.